First contact and challenge. The skies above New York City erupted in a dazzling display of light and color, unlike anything humanity had ever witnessed. Massive ships, their hulls shimmering with an otherworldly iridescence, descended through the atmosphere. The day that would forever change human history had arrived. Earth's first contact with extraterrestrial life. As the world watched in awe and trepidation, a delegation of aliens emerged from the lid ship. They were a sight to behold, some towering and muscular, others lithe and graceful, each species more alien and fantastic than the last. At their forefront stood a being that seemed to embody the very essence of authority. The Galactic Council's emissary. People of Earth, the emissary's voice boomed, somehow understood by all who heard it. We come in peace to welcome you to the greater galactic community. The next few days were a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, scientific exchanges, and cultural revelations. Humanity learned of a vast, interconnected network of civilizations spanning the Milky Way. But with this knowledge came a sobering truth. Earth was but an infant in cosmic terms, and our place in this grand tapestry was far from secure. On the third day of the aliens' visit, the true purpose of their arrival was revealed. The emissary addressed the United Nations General Assembly, his words broadcast to every corner of the globe. Esteemed representatives of Earth, we have observed your species for centuries. Your potential is great, but so too are the challenges that lie ahead. As with all emerging spacefaring races, you must prove your worth to join our ranks fully. You must face the cosmic crucible. A murmur rippled through the assembly. The emissary continued, explaining that the cosmic crucible was a series of trials designed to test the physical, mental, and moral fiber of a species. Each race would select a single champion to represent them, competing against the champions of other nascent civilizations. The stakes are high, the emissary warned. Success will grant Earth a seat at the galactic table, access to advanced technologies, and protection from cosmic threats. Failure will result in isolation. You will be left to face the dangers of the universe alone. The news sent shockwaves through human society. Governments scrambled to identify potential champions, while debates raged over the ethics and implications of the crucible. Some saw it as an opportunity for humanity to prove itself, others as a thinly veiled form of cosmic colonialism. In the end, the decision was made. Earth would participate, and a worldwide search for our champion began. Zara Chen never imagined she'd be chosen to represent humanity on the galactic stage. A former Olympic decathlete turned wilderness survival expert, she had always pushed the limits of human capability. But this was beyond anything she had ever dreamed. The selection process had been grueling, a battery of physical tests, psychological evaluations, and problem-solving scenarios designed to identify the best humanity had to offer. When Zara emerged as the top candidate, the world was initially skeptical. She wasn't the strongest, nor the most intelligent by conventional measures, but she possessed a unique combination of skills, adaptability, and an indomitable spirit that set her apart. As Zara stood before the Galactic Council's emissary, accepting the mantle of Earth's champion, she felt the weight of billions of hopes and dreams on her shoulders. The alien's multifaceted eyes studied her with an unreadable expression. "You are smaller than we anticipated," the emissary observed. "Are you certain this one can withstand the rigors of the crucible?" Zara met the alien's gaze unflinchingly. "Size isn't everything," she replied, a hint of defiance in her voice. "Humanity has always punched above its weight." The emissary's features shifted in what might have been amusement. "Indeed, we shall see, Zara Chen of Earth. The cosmic crucible awaits, and with it, the fate of your world." As news of Zara's selection spread, Earth experienced a surge of unity unlike anything in its history. Borders and old rivalries faded in importance as humanity rallied behind its champion. Resources poured in from every nation. Cutting-edge technology, training facilities, and the brightest minds all dedicated to preparing Zara for the challenges ahead. Dr. Aisha Okafor, a renowned astrophysicist, led the scientific team tasked with briefing Zara on what they'd learned of alien physiology and technology. The competitors you'll face have evolved under conditions we can scarcely imagine, she explained, gesturing to holographic displays of bizarre alien worlds. Some can withstand pressures that would crush a human instantly. Others can survive in the vacuum of space. But remember, Zara, human adaptability is our secret weapon. Meanwhile, Major David Hawthorne, a decorated Special Forces veteran, oversaw Zara's physical conditioning. The crucible isn't just about brute strength. He barked as Zara ran an impossibly complex obstacle course. It's about thinking on your feet, adapting to the unknown. That's where you'll shine. As the day of departure approached, Zara found moments of quiet reflection increasingly rare. In one such moment, she stood atop a cliff overlooking the Pacific Ocean, watching the sun set on the world she was tasked with representing. "Quite a view, isn't it?" a voice said behind her. Zara turned to see Dr. Okafor approaching. "I've been all over this planet," Zara replied, "pushed myself to every extreme. But now, I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of what's out there." Asha nodded, her eyes on the horizon. "You know, when I first heard about the Crucible, I was furious. Who were these aliens to judge us, to make us jump through hoops? But then I realized, this is the greatest opportunity humanity has ever faced. And you, Zara, you're going to show the galaxy what we're made of." Zara took a deep breath, feeling the salty air fill her lungs. No pressure, right? They shared a laugh, but the gravity of the situation hung heavy between them. The next morning, as the alien ship prepared for departure, Zara stood before a crowd of thousands, millions more watching via broadcasts. She wore a sleek suit of advanced polymer, a fusion of human ingenuity and alien materials, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when united. "I go to face this crucible not just as an individual," Zara declared, her voice steady and clear, "but as a representative of every human who has ever lived, who lives now, and who is yet to be born. We are a young species, yes, but we are fierce, we are adaptable, and we will not be underestimated. To the stars and beyond. For Earth." The crowd erupted in cheers as Zara turned and walked up the ramp into the alien vessel. As the ship's doors closed behind her, she took one last look at the blue marble that was her home. Whatever lay ahead in the cosmic crucible, Zara Chen was determined to prove that humanity belonged among the stars. The ship's engines flared to life, and in a blaze of light that outshone the sun, Earth's champion ascended to face humanity's greatest challenge. Training and preparation. The journey to the cosmic crucible testing grounds was a voyage of wonder and trepidation for Zara Chen. As Earth's champion gazed out of the ship's viewing port, she marveled at the cosmic tapestry unfolding before her, swirling nebulae, glittering star clusters, and the occasional glimpse of distant worlds that defied her earthbound imagination. But wonder gave way to stark reality as the ship docked at the Crucible Station, a massive structure floating in the void between stars. Zara's alien guide, a willowy being named Xandra, led her through gleaming corridors to the preparation areas. "The trials begin in one galactic standard month," Xandra explained, its melodious voice tinged with what might have been concern. "Use this time wisely, Zora of Earth. The challenges ahead will test you in ways you cannot yet comprehend." The training facilities were a marvel of advanced technology. Zara found herself in environments that could shift from scorching deserts to freezing tundras in the blink of an eye, faced with obstacles that defied the laws of physics as she understood them. Each day brought new challenges, pushing the limits of her strength, endurance, and problem-solving skills. But it wasn't just the physical trials that taxed Zara. The mental strain of being humanity's sole representative in this vast cosmic arena weighed heavily on her. During rare moments of respite, she would retreat to her quarters, activating the holographic communicator that linked her to Earth. "You're doing great, kid," Major Hawthorne's gruff voice reassured her during one such call. "The whole world's behind you. Just remember your training and trust your instincts." Dr. Okafor's face appeared next, her eyes bright with excitement. Zara, the data we're receiving from your training sessions is revolutionary. Your adaptability is off the charts. You're not just representing us. You're helping us understand the very limits of human potential. Their words bolstered Zara's resolve, but doubts still gnawed at her. These doubts crystallized into stark reality when she first encountered her fellow competitors. In the station's communal area, a space designed to encourage interaction between the various champions, Zara found herself face to face with beings that seemed to have stepped out of Earth's wildest science fiction. There was Krellax, a behemoth from a high-gravity world, whose every movement seemed to make the deck plates groan. Ethereal Lumina, a creature of pure energy contained within a humanoid form, glowed with an inner light that hurt Zara's eyes to look at directly. But it was Zixera, a cephalopod-like being with a keen intellect that put Earth's supercomputers to shame, who truly drove home the magnitude of the challenge Zara faced. "Ah, the Earth representative," Zixera burbled, its tentacles weaving complex patterns in the air. "I've been most curious about your species. Tell me, how does it feel to compete when your civilization has barely mastered rudimentary spaceflight?" Zara bristled at the condescension in Zixera's tone, but kept her composure. "We may be young," she replied evenly, "but we're quick learners. I wouldn't count humanity out just yet." A ripple of what might have been laughter passed through Zixera's body. "Boldly spoken. We shall see if your actions match your words in the crucible." As the days wore on, Zora pushed herself harder than ever before. She sparred with competitors whose strength and speed seemed superhuman, solved puzzles that would have baffled Earth's greatest minds, and endured simulations of environments so alien they defied description. There were triumphs, moments when Zara's unique human perspective allowed her to overcome challenges that stumped her alien competitors. But there were also failures, harsh reminders of just how far humanity had to go to stand among the stars as equals. One particularly grueling day, after a simulation that left her battered and bruised, Zara retreated to a quiet corner of the station. As she sat there, trying to calm her racing thoughts, a shadow fell across her. "You are troubled," came a resonant voice. Zara looked up to see Corval, an ancient being composed of living crystal. Corval's species was so old they had seen galaxies born and die, yet they still participated in the crucible out of a sense of cosmic duty. I'm not sure I'm cut out for this," Zara admitted, the words feeling like a betrayal of everything and everyone she represented. Corval's crystalline form shimmered as it considered her words. "In all my eons, young one, I have learned this. True strength is not in never doubting, but in persevering despite those doubts. Your species is young, yes, but there is a fire in you that many older races have long since lost." The ancient being's words struck a chord in Zora. She thought of Earth, of its turbulent history, of the countless times humanity had faced extinction only to claw its way back from the brink. She thought of the indomitable human spirit that had driven her ancestors to cross oceans, scale mountains, and reach for the stars. "Thank you," Zora said, standing up with renewed determination. "You're right. We humans, we don't give up easily." As the day of the crucible's commencement drew near, tension on the station reached a fever pitch. Champions made final preparations, studied their competitors, and steeled themselves for the trials ahead. Zara found herself in the simulation chamber, running through one last training scenario. As holographic threats materialized around her, she moved with a grace and purpose that would have astonished her just weeks ago. Her body flowed through the obstacles, her mind racing to solve the puzzle presented before her. When the simulation ended, Zara stood in the center of the chamber, breathing heavily, but with a fire in her eyes. Xandra, who had been observing, approached with an expression of what might have been impressed surprise. "You have come far, Zara of Earth," the alien guide said, "perhaps further than any of us anticipated." Zara nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "We humans have a saying, the sky's the limit. But out here, among the stars, We're learning that even the sky is just the beginning. As she left the simulation chamber, Zara caught sight of her reflection in a polished panel. Gone was the uncertain woman who had first stepped aboard the alien ship on Earth. In her place stood Earth's champion, battle-tested, determined, and ready to show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. The cosmic crucible awaited, and with it, the chance to forge humanity's destiny among the stars. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Zara Chen was prepared to face them, not just for herself, but for every human who had ever dared to dream of a future beyond the confines of their blue marble in space. As the station's announcement system chimed, signaling the imminent start of the crucible, Zara took a deep breath. For Earth, she whispered to herself. For all of us, the greatest test of humanity was about to begin. The crucible begins. The grand amphitheater of the cosmic crucible hummed with an energy that transcended species and civilizations. Thousands of alien spectators from across the galaxy filled the stands, their diverse forms creating a living tapestry of cosmic life. At the center of it all stood the champions, each a paragon of their species, awaiting the trials that would determine their civilization's fates. Spectator Zara Chen, Earth's representative, stood tall despite being dwarfed by many of her competitors. Her eyes scanned the arena, taking in the shimmering force field overhead and the morphing landscape below. This was it, the moment humanity had been preparing for since first contact. The Arbiter, a being of pure thought and energy, materialized above the arena. Its voice, more felt than heard, resonated through every participant and spectator. Champions of the ascending races, you stand at the threshold of greatness. The cosmic crucible will test not just your physical and mental prowess, but the very essence of what your species represents. Let the trials commence. With a flash of light that momentarily blinded all present, the first challenge materialized. The arena floor transformed into a vast, ever-shifting maze. Walls of energy sprang up and disappeared seemingly at random, while gravitational fields fluctuated wildly. Navigate the labyrinth of flux, the Arbiter announced. Reach the center to proceed. But be warned, this maze reflects the chaos of an emerging spacefaring civilization. Adaptability is key. Zara took a deep breath, centering herself as she'd been taught by Major Hawthorne. She watched as some of her fellow competitors charged ahead blindly, only to be thrown off course by sudden gravity shifts or blocked by appearing walls. Instead of rushing, Zara observed. She noticed patterns in the chaos, subtle rhythms in the maze's changes. It reminded her of the unpredictable nature of Earth's weather systems, something she'd studied extensively in her survival training. With careful, measured steps, Zara began to move. She flowed with the maze's changes rather than fighting against them. When a wall appeared, she used it as a springboard. When gravity shifted, she used the momentum to propel herself forward. The alien spectators watched in fascination. Many had dismissed the human as physically unimpressive, but here she was, displaying a level of adaptability that put some of the more physically imposing champions to shame. Halfway through the maze, Zara encountered Krelax, the massive alien from a high-gravity world. The behemoth was struggling, its great strength working against it in this challenge of finesse. For a moment, Zara hesitated. Her instinct was to help. But would that be allowed? Would it put Earth at a disadvantage? In a split-second decision, she called out to Krelax, "Move with the maze, not against it, like a river around rocks." Krelax's multifaceted eyes blinked in surprise, but it heeded Zara's advice. Together, they began to make swifter progress. As they neared the center, Zara heard the crystalline chiming of Korval close behind. The ancient being had been observing Zara's technique and had adapted quickly. In a final sprint that defied the maze's attempts to confuse them, Zara and Krelax reached the center simultaneously, with Korval arriving moments later. The maze dissolved, and the Arbiter's presence filled the arena once more. An interesting start, it mused. Cooperation was not expected, yet it proved effective. Remember, champions, The path of a spacefaring race is not walked alone. As the dust settled from the first challenge, Zara found herself the subject of curious looks from both competitors and spectators. She had not won outright, but her performance and willingness to assist another had not gone unnoticed. Sandra approached, its ethereal form shimmering with what seemed like excitement. A most impressive display, Zora of Earth. You have given many cause to reevaluate their assessment of your species. Before Zara could respond, the arena began to shift again. The air grew thick and humid, while the ground beneath their feet turned soft and spongy. The second trial, the Arbiter's voice boomed, will test your ability to thrive in hostile environments. Welcome to the mires of adaptation. The once solid ground of the arena had transformed into a vast swamp, filled with bubbling pools of strange liquids and vegetation that seemed to move with a mind of its own. The air was filled with spores that glowed in mesmerizing patterns. Retrieve the stellar seeds, the Arbiter instructed. They are scattered throughout the mire. But be warned, this environment will challenge your body's very chemistry. Adapt or falter. Zara quickly realized the challenge this posed. The atmospheric composition was shifting constantly, requiring rapid adjustments just to breathe. The ground was treacherous, with patches that looked solid giving way to deep sinkholes. She watched as Lumi, the energy being, glided effortlessly over the mire, its form unaffected by the physical challenges. Others, like Zixara, were using advanced technology to analyze and counteract the environmental hazards. Zara had no such advantages, but what she did have was a lifetime of experience adapting to Earth's diverse environments and the cutting-edge suit developed by humanity's best scientists. She activated the suit's adaptive systems, feeling it tighten and shift against her skin as it worked to filter the air and protect her from the mire's caustic touch. Then, with careful steps, she began her search for the stellar seeds. The challenge was grueling. Each step had to be calculated, each breath measured. Zara's muscles burned with exertion, and her mind raced to process the constantly changing threats around her. But as she pushed deeper into the mire, something unexpected happened. The suit, combined with her own physiology, began to adapt at an astonishing rate. The filters became more efficient, her movements more sure. Dr. Okafor's voice echoed in her memory. Human adaptability is our secret weapon. Now, Zara understood the full truth of those words. She retrieved stellar seed after stellar seed, her progress matching, and even surpassing some of her alien competitors. The spectators buzzed with excitement. The human was proving to be full of surprises. As the trial neared its end, Zara found herself neck and neck with Zixara, the cephalopod being, who had earlier dismissed humanity's potential, now regarded Zara with newfound respect. Perhaps, Zixara burbled as they both reached for the final seed. I was hasty in my judgment of your species, Earth being. Zara managed a smile through her exertion. We're full of surprises, she gasped. It's kind of our thing. When the mires of adaptation finally receded, and the champion stood once again on solid ground, the rankings appeared in shimmering light above the arena. Zara's name stood solidly in the middle of the pack, not dominating, but far from the bottom where many had expected humanity to land. The Arbiter's presence enveloped the arena once more. You have weathered the mires, adapting to that which sought to break you. But the crucible has only begun. Rest, champions, for the trials to come will challenge not just your bodies and minds, but the very essence of what your civilizations represent. As the competitors were led away to recover and prepare for the next set of challenges, Zora caught snippets of conversation from the spectators. Did you see how quickly the human adapted? I've never seen a physical form evolve its strategies so rapidly. Perhaps we underestimated this Earth. Zara allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage, and they had not stumbled. But she knew this was just the beginning. The real tests, the ones that would truly determine Earth's place among the stars, were yet to come. As she followed Sandra back to the preparation areas, Zora's mind was already racing. analyzing the day's events and strategizing for what lay ahead. One thing was certain: the galaxy was starting to take notice of humanity, and Zara was determined to show them just how brightly the human spirit could shine. Trials of body and mind. The respite between trials was brief, barely enough time for Zara to catch her breath and rehydrate. As she sat in the preparation chamber, surrounded by the ultra steel walls that seemed to pulse with an inner light, Zara felt the weight of Earth's hopes pressing down on her shoulders. A holographic display flickered to life before her, showing her current ranking among the champions. She had climbed several positions after the mires of adaptation, but was still far from the top. Earth needed a top 5 finish to secure its place in the galactic community. There was still much to prove. The chamber's door slid open with a soft hiss, revealing Xandra's willowy form. "It is time, Zara of Earth. The crucible of mind awaits." Zara nodded, steeling herself as she followed her alien guide back to the arena. The once chaotic mire had been replaced by a vast, empty space. At the center stood a series of crystalline structures, each pulsing with a different color of light. The Arbiter's presence filled the arena once more. "Champions, you have proven your physical adaptability. Now we shall test the true strength of your species, the power of your minds." With a gesture from the Arbiter, the crystalline structures activated. Beams of light shot out, enveloping each champion in a cocoon of energy. Within these thought matrices, the Arbiter explained, "You will face challenges beyond the physical. You must solve puzzles that defy your understanding of reality, navigate ethical dilemmas that will test your species' values, and withstand mental pressures that have broken the soundest minds." Zara felt a tingling sensation as the light engulfed her. Suddenly, the arena vanished, replaced by a vast starfield. Equations and symbols floated in the void, rearranging themselves in dizzying patterns. "Your first task," the Arbiter's voice echoed in her mind, "is to decipher the language of the cosmos itself." Zara's mind reeled at the complexity before her. The mathematical concepts at play were far beyond anything taught in Earth's most advanced institutions. For a moment, panic threatened to overwhelm her. But then, she remembered Dr. Okuffer's words during her training. "Human minds are uniquely flexible, Zara. We may not have the processing power of alien supercomputers, but we can make intuitive leaps that leave them baffled." Taking a deep breath, Zara forced herself to relax. She stopped trying to understand each equation individually and instead looked for patterns, connections between seemingly disparate elements. Slowly, meanings began to emerge. What had seemed like chaos began to form a coherent whole. Zara's hands moved instinctively, manipulating the symbols, guided as much by intuition as by logic. Around her, she sensed other champions struggling. Some, like Zixara, were processing the information at incredible speeds, but seemed unable to grasp the underlying meaning. Others appeared completely overwhelmed. As Zara worked, she felt a growing connection to the equations. They weren't just abstract concepts. They described the very fabric of the universe, the dance of particles and forces that made up reality itself. With a final, intuitive leap, Zara rearranged the symbols into a cohesive whole. The starfield around her exploded into a vibrant display of cosmic phenomena: the birth and death of stars, the collision of galaxies, the subtle interplay of dark matter and energy. She had done it. She had deciphered the language of the cosmos. As the vision faded and the arena came back into focus, Zara saw that she was one of the first to complete the challenge. The Arbiter's presence radiated what might have been approval. "Impressive, Earthchild. Your species' ability to find order in chaos serves you well." But there was no time to revel in this small victory. The thought matrices shifted, presenting a new challenge. "Now," the Arbiter intoned, "you will face the weight of choices." The starfield was replaced by a series of vivid scenarios. Zara found herself confronted with increasingly complex ethical dilemmas. Some were personal, weighing the life of a loved one against the lives of strangers. Others were vast in scope, decisions that could alter the course of entire civilizations. Each choice had to be made in a split second, with consequences that rippled out in unexpected ways. Zara drew upon everything she knew of human philosophy, of the hard-won wisdom her species had gained through millennia of struggle and progress. She thought of the long arc of human history, of wars and atrocities, yes, but also of incredible acts of compassion and self-sacrifice. She thought of the principles that humanity, at its best, stood for: freedom, equality, the inherent worth of every sentient being. As she navigated the ethical maze, Zara realized that these dilemmas weren't just hypothetical. They represented real choices that spacefaring civilizations had to make. The weight of responsibility was staggering. Around her, she sensed the other champions facing their own trials. Some seemed to breeze through certain scenarios only to be stymied by others. The challenge was a great equalizer, testing not just intelligence but wisdom, empathy, and moral courage. As the final dilemma faded away, Zara felt mentally exhausted but strangely exhilarated. She had been pushed to her limits and beyond, forced to confront the deepest questions of existence and morality. The Arbiter's presence enveloped the champions once more. You have faced the crucible of the mind, grappled with the fundamental questions that all advanced civilizations must confront. But our trials are not yet complete. With another gesture, the thought matrices reconfigured themselves. This time, when the energy enveloped Zara, she felt a deep, primal fear grip her heart. The final mental trial, the Arbiter announced, is the abyss of the self. You must face your deepest fears, confront the darkest aspects of your own nature, and find the strength to emerge whole. Zara found herself plunged into a nightmare landscape of her own psyche. She relived her worst failures, confronted her deepest insecurities. She saw visions of Earth destroyed, of humanity enslaved or extinct because of her failure. The barrage of horrors threatened to break her. Zara felt herself starting to crack under the pressure. But in the depths of her despair, she heard voices, echoes of encouragement from her family, her mentors, from the billions of humans counting on her. With a supreme effort of will, Zara began to push back against the darkness. She confronted each fear, each doubt, acknowledging its existence but refusing to be defined by it. She drew strength from every hardship she had overcome, every challenge she had faced. As Zara battled her inner demons, she realized a fundamental truth. The human spirit was defined not by the absence of fear or darkness, but by the courage to face them and push forward anyway. With a final, cathartic cry, Zara broke free of the nightmare. The thought matrix dissolved around her, and she found herself back in the arena, gasping for breath but standing tall. As she looked around, Zara saw that many of her fellow champions were still trapped in their own mental struggles. Some had collapsed entirely, their minds unable to withstand the strain. The Arbiter's presence radiated a mix of surprise and what might have been respect. You have weathered the storms of your own psyche, Zora of Earth. Few emerge from the abyss unscathed. As the last of the champions completed their trials, the rankings flickered into existence once more. Zara's eyes widened as she saw her position. She had climbed into the top 10. The spectators erupted in a cacophony of alien sounds. Whispers and exclamations in 1,000 languages filled the air. The human, it seemed, had become the surprise dark horse of the cosmic crucible. As Zara was led away to recover, she caught fragments of conversations among the alien observers. Extraordinary mental flexibility. Such resilience in the face of existential terror. Perhaps we have underestimated this young species. Zara allowed herself a small smile. Humanity had proven itself not just physically adaptable, but mentally and morally strong. They had shown the galaxy the power of the human spirit. But she knew the crucible was far from over. The final trials would push her, and humanity, to the very limits of their potential. As she prepared herself for what was to come, Zara felt a mix of exhaustion and determination. Whatever the cosmic crucible had in store, she was ready to show the galaxy exactly what humans were made of. The final test and humanity's triumph. The air in the cosmic crucible crackled with tension as the remaining champions gathered for the final trial. Of the hundreds who had started, only a dozen remained, each bearing the mental and physical scars of their ordeal. Zara Chen stood among them, her eyes steely with determination, her body poised for action. The Arbiter's presence filled the arena, its energy palpable. Champions, you have proven yourselves worthy adversaries. But the true test of a spacefaring civilization lies not just in individual prowess, but in the ability to face the unknown, to pioneer where none have gone before. Your final challenge awaits. With a gesture that seemed to bend reality itself, the Arbiter opened a massive portal at the center of the arena. Beyond it lay a swirling maelstrom of cosmic energy, a representation of unexplored space. Behold the frontier of infinity, the Arbiter intoned. Within lies a primordial world, untouched by sentient life. Your task is to navigate its dangers, uncover its secrets, and prove your species' worthiness to shape the future of the cosmos. One by one, the champions stepped through the portal. Zara took a deep breath, thought of Earth one last time, and plunged into the unknown. The world beyond was a chaotic blend of beauty and terror. Massive floating islands drifted through a sky that shimmered with aurora-like energies. Vegetation that defied classification clung to every surface, some of it seemingly sentient. In the distance, mountains rose and fell like the breath of some colossal being. Zara's suit immediately began to analyze the environment, but the readings were unlike anything she had ever seen. The very laws of physics seemed to be in flux here. As she took her first steps, Zara saw her fellow champions fan out across the landscape. Some, like clerics, immediately began to terraform the environment to suit their needs. Others, like Ethera, tried to commune with the strange energies that permeated the air. Zara chose a different approach. Drawing on her training and the lessons learned throughout the Crucible, she began to observe, to learn. She noticed patterns in the chaos, how certain plants reacted to sound, how the floating islands seemed to follow unseen currents. As she explored, Zara encountered her first major obstacle, a chasm that seemed to stretch into infinity. Clerics attempted to bridge it with brute force, only to have his construction swallowed by the void. Zixera tried to analyze it with advanced sensors, but the readings made no sense. Zara, however, noticed something others had missed. The plants along the chasm's edge swayed in a peculiar rhythm, as if dancing to an unheard melody. Acting on a hunch, she began to hum, matching the plant's movement. To the astonishment of all, a bridge of living vegetation began to form across the chasm. Zara stepped onto it, her heart pounding, and found it solid beneath her feet. Remarkable. Corval's crystalline voice chimed from nearby. You commune with this world in a way none of us considered. Zara nodded to the ancient being. Sometimes the key is not to impose our will on a new environment, but to listen to what it's telling us. As they ventured deeper into the alien world, more challenges arose. They encountered creatures of pure energy, puzzles that required rewriting the very code of reality, and traps that tested the limits of their endurance and ingenuity. Throughout it all, Zara found herself working alongside her fellow champions more often than against them. Her human adaptability and outside-the-box thinking complemented their various strengths and abilities. But the final test was one each champion had to face alone. At the heart of this primordial world, they discovered a massive crystal structure, pulsing with unknowable power. As Zara approached it, she felt a presence brush against her mind. Who are you? The thought wasn't words so much as a feeling of curiosity, ancient and vast. Zara realized with a start that this entire world was alive, sentient in a way that defied human understanding. The crystal before her was a conduit, a way for this planetary consciousness to communicate. I am Zara Chen, she fought back. I represent humanity, a young species from a planet called Earth. Why have you come to this place? The world mind inquired. Zara considered her answer carefully. She could feel the weight of this moment, knowing that her response would be judged not just by this alien intelligence, but by the arbiter and all those watching the crucible. "We come seeking knowledge, understanding," Zara replied. "We are explorers, driven by an insatiable curiosity about the universe and our place in it. We've made mistakes, we've struggled, but we've never stopped trying to be better, to reach further." She felt the world mind considering her words. Flashes of human history played through her mind, the triumphs and the tragedies, the great leaps forward, and the stumbling steps back. "Your species is young," the world mind observed, "full of potential, but also danger. How can you be trusted with the power to shape worlds?" Zara thought of all she had learned, all that humanity had endured to reach this point. "We don't ask for trust blindly," she answered. "We ask for a chance to prove ourselves. We've faced our own demons, confronted the darkness within us, but we've also shown the capacity for great compassion, for self-sacrifice, for imagining and working towards a better future not just for ourselves, but for all life." She felt the world mind probing deeper, examining not just her words, but the very essence of her being, of humanity itself. For a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, Zara stood at the crossroads of human destiny. Then, with a surge of energy that sent ripples across the entire planet, the crystal before her shattered. But instead of destruction, Zara found herself enveloped in a cocoon of pure possibility. Knowledge flooded her mind, the secrets of cosmic engineering, of faster-than-light travel, of harmonizing with the fundamental forces of the universe. But more than that, she felt a sense of acceptance, of welcome. As the energy subsided, Zara found herself back in the crucible arena. The other champions were there too, each bearing their own marks of their encounter with the world mind. The arbiter's presence filled the space once more, its energy tinged with what felt like awe. "Champions, you have faced the ultimate test. You have proven not just your individual worth, but the potential of your entire species." The final rankings materialized in the air. Zara's breath caught in her throat as she saw her position. Third, humanity had secured its place among the stars. The arena erupted in a cacophony of alien sounds, cheers, exclamations, and debates in 1,000 languages. The human, the underdog, had defied all expectations. As the reality of her achievement sank in, Zara felt a mix of exhaustion, elation, and a profound sense of responsibility. She had opened the door for humanity, but this was just the beginning. In the days that followed, as preparations were made for Earth's formal induction into the galactic community, Zara found herself the center of attention. Alien diplomats sought her out, eager to establish relations with this surprising new player on the cosmic stage. But it was a conversation with Corval, the ancient crystalline being, that struck her most. "In all my eons," Corval chimed, "I have rarely seen a species with such potential. You humans are unpredictable, sometimes dangerous, but also capable of great things. The galaxy will be a more interesting place with you in it." As Zara prepared to return to Earth, bearing the knowledge and responsibilities of her victory, she thought about the journey ahead. Humanity had proven itself, had earned its place among the stars. But the real work was just beginning. The cosmic crucible had been more than a test. It was a crucible in the truest sense, forging humanity's potential into something new, something ready to face the vast challenges and opportunities that awaited them in the endless frontier of space. Zara Chen, champion of Earth, gazed out at the star-studded expanse before her. The future was unwritten, full of possibilities both thrilling and terrifying. But one thing was certain: humanity was ready to take its place in the cosmic dance. The age of Earth's isolation was over. The era of human ascendancy had begun.